Hi kids, welcome back to the Skiing Garage. We are going to do some more reading today. Last session we looked at how authors paint vivid pictures in their books using words. Well, I'm going to demonstrate that today to make sure that you really understand the process of how you identify and then let the author paint that picture in your mind. So here are some of the things that we identified last time that an author can use, some of their special craft moves, some of their ninja moves, how authors paint pictures with words. And obviously we've got there describing the setting, including sound words, using small actions. I'm just trying to make it a little gloomier. There we go. Now you should be able to see if hopefully I can zoom in and it's not going to be too bright. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. Come on. There we go. So you can see describing the setting, including sound words, using small actions and including lots of dialogue. Now, are you going to get all four of those in every single bit of writing? No, is the answer. We're absolutely not going to get all four of those in one. The text that I chose last time, the polar bears past bedtime, I chose that because I could find all four words. However, that's really unusual. But what I want to teach you today is once you've found a place in your book where the author's painted a really vivid picture with words, obviously, not pictures, not actual illustrations, to help you see what's happening, where the scene's taking place, where the characters are doing or saying, even how they're feeling. I want you to stop at the end of a paragraph, the end of a chapter, whatever it is, and I want you to reread it. Just that one part, over and over several times, noticing more as you read it each time. Let me demonstrate. Now, if you guys have been keeping up with story time, then you're going to know this book. Boom, there he is, Buffer, commonly called the BFG. And in here, Roald Dahl is an absolute master at creating vivid pictures in your mind. I mean, you can see there on the front cover, there's some Frobscottle, and very clearly I've got very vivid images of Frobscottle and the BFG drinking the Frobscottle and making some whiz poppers. I'm sure you've got some vivid memories of that too. Now, I'm going to go to, and you can see I've marked this up in a couple of places, I'm going to go to the witching hour, okay, which is just the very first page. I'm just going to freeze it actually so that it's easier for me. The witching hour. Make sure that's just in focus. Perfectly. Okay, that's about as good as it's going to be. Sophie couldn't sleep. A brilliant moonbeam was slanting through a gap in the curtains. It was shining right on her pillow. I'll say that again. I'm going to stop because is this a vivid picture? A brilliant moonbeam was slanting through a gap in the curtains. It was shining right onto her pillow. And if I close my eyes, I can see that she's lying there. And if you can't sleep, you've probably got your eyes open, especially if there's a light on there. And I imagine it's really quiet. And can you see the way I'm rereading it? And you can't see me, but right now I've got my eyes closed. And I'm trying to picture Sophie lying there with the curtains with just a crack and that piece of light shining through, and just how different it is. There's a contrast between that piece of light shining through the crack and everything else really dark around it. The other children in the dormitory had been asleep for hours. Okay, so we're describing the setting. We've been introduced to a character. Sophie closed her eyes and lay quite still. Once again, I imagine that everything's still at this time of night. She tried very hard to doze off. It was no good. The moonbeam was like a silver blade slicing through the room onto her face. Wow, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop and I'm going to reread it. The moonbeam was like a silver blade slicing through the room onto her face. I'm going to stop and I'm going to read it one more time. The moonbeam was like a silver blade slicing through the room onto her face. And I'm trying to think, what's the author trying to mean by this? Well, nothing's really slicing her like a knife, but he's calling it like a blade. And maybe the blade in this case is the light. So, do I remember our work on similes and metaphors? Okay, he's saying one thing is like another. So we've got here simile. And it really creates a beautiful, vivid image in my mind of just how a blade would, if somebody sliced you with a knife, it's going to wake you up, it's going to keep you awake. And in this case, the light is keeping her awake. And this is the difference between something I would write and something that a master writer would write. The house was quiet. That's probably what I would write. But listen to what how Roald Dahl describes it. The house was absolutely silent. Oh, so it's not just quiet, it's absolutely silent. It's an absolute. Creating the image again. No, and then this is the little detail that we talked about last time. No voices came up from downstairs. There were no footsteps on the floor above either. Oh, so he's teaching me the setting by telling me about that, because now I know that she's on like a floor of a house or something. There's a floor above her, there's a floor below. And it's dead quiet. The window behind the curtain was wide open, but nobody was walking on the pavement outside. No cars went by on the street. Not the tiniest sound could be heard anywhere. Sophie had never known such a silence. And I could go ahead and reread that several times to get the image of that again. And I'm creating the image in my mind, but I'm also noticing the moves that he's using. Lots of detail. We've learnt a bit about the character and a bit about the setting. To really getting to know those. I'm going to turn the page. Okay, to page 2. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit, wrong way. Okay, because I'm only going to read this first bit. There we go. I'll freeze that. Perhaps, she told herself, this was what they called the witching hour. Now, we talked about dialogue. Well, there's nobody to talk to. So she's having that internal dialogue with herself, just like I did with the ice cream and the apple. And she's having this internal dialogue with herself. We're being told about the character. We're learning about how the character thinks, what they think about, how they think. Perhaps, she told herself, this was what they called the witching hour. The witching hour, somebody had once whispered to her, was a special moment in the middle of the night when every child and every grown-up was in a deep, deep sleep. And all the dark things came out from hiding and had the world to themselves. I'm going to stop and I'm going to reread that one more time. The witching hour, somebody had once whispered to her, was a special moment in the middle of the night when every child and every grown-up was in a deep, deep sleep. And all the dark things came out from hiding and had the world to themselves. And I'm closing my eyes and I'm trying to picture what that would look like if you were lying there. I'm trying to picture what it would feel like if you were lying there. I'm trying to picture how I would feel. I'm trying to picture how Sophie would feel. And frankly, I'm a grown-up man, and that makes me a little scared. So I imagine a small little girl might be even more scared. Any small child might be even more scared. So these are the things which we're noticing. The way that I stopped and I reread, and okay, I've only read 2 pages, or not even 2 pages, and it's taken me probably 10 minutes. But now in my mind, I have this wonderful, wonderful picture which Roald Dahl wanted to create for me. This is the skill, this is the craft, this is what we're looking for you to find and identify. So we want you to stop. Once you've identified these places in the text, stop, reread it again, and then importantly, we want you to try and reread it with feeling. What's the feeling which the author's trying to get across? So reread it and make that picture in your mind even clearer. And then, like we said, close your eyes and see it. Once you've done that, you can even share with a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister. You can share that with them. Okay? You can share something like that with them. Okay? Hey, look what this author did. They did this, they did that. So, and they did it by this. They did it by giving me more detail. They did it by some kind of conversation, some kind of dialogue. But they're not even talking. Maybe somebody says, yeah, but they're having an internal dialogue. It's just what's going on inside them. So loads of ways that we can talk about this. Loads of ways that you can really, really start to tease out, start to understand how and why authors create these vivid images. Identify it, share it. Okay, go have some fun. Lots of vivid imagining today, please.